This is a continuation of genealogy part 3. Let me get back to another technique for locating your relatives in Ireland, and that's the DNA map on Ancestry.com. Ancestry, if you do a DNA test, will give you a map that shows the areas that you're likely to come from in Ireland. It'll circle the areas, and it'll have concentric circles sometimes. That is a circle within a circle, or maybe even a third circle within a circle. So it's focusing on a particular area where your ancestors are coming from. And Ancestry creates these maps by finding individuals who have a long family history in a particular area, and then they compare your DNA to that person. So then they create these ranges of likelihood of where your relatives come from. So you can use that map to really focus on particular areas that you know a relative of yours came from, especially if there's a second circle or even a third circle. And that's a really dead giveaway that you have a relative from that area. And that can really help you target a particular county or particular area you want to research in hopes of finding that ancestor. Um, okay, another technique is to look for the maiden names of spouses because chances are the couple came from the same place. So the wife, where the wife came from or the husband came from, is usually indicative of where the spouse came from, where the other person came from. So if you could find the where the spouse came from, you automatically know where the other one came from because they didn't move around a lot. Um, unless they married someplace else, like in the UK, where there could be a mixing of a large number of Irish from different counties. But if they were married in Ireland, then very good chance they're from the same town or at least the same parish. So finding one is finding the other. So you look for those maiden names. Maybe you didn't have any luck with the guy's name, but you're going to have luck with the girl's name. Um, so it doubles your chances. So those maiden names, finding those maiden names can be the key, really, to determining where your ancestors came from in Ireland. And you can get maiden names even from records in the U.S. or the U.K. Off of death certificates. Oftentimes, it'll tell you, like the death certificate of a child may tell you the mother's maiden name. So you may be able to get the maiden name that way. A final way you can locate Irish ancestry is through genealogy books, published books by professional genealogists who just give lists and lists of the names of, well, in this case, Irish men or women. The paragraphs that they give about a particular person may tell you where they came from in Ireland or where their parents came from in Ireland. Chances are these books are going to be written a long time ago, but because they were written a long time ago, the writer had access perhaps to records or stories of people who are no longer alive, and they may very well be more accurate than what you could find today. Um, a lot of these uh, people who left Ireland, especially early, came to basically new areas in the country, especially in the United States. And they were often pioneers and early settlers of towns. So you can sometimes find information about your ancestor in the history of the particular town that they went to, especially if they were a founder or early settler. The local genealogical society or historical society may have records of your family or your ancestor, records that don't appear online because they're in some sort of book format, and Ancestry.com doesn't have it. And they may know. So it may be worth a trip to go visit this historical society or give them a phone call. And see maybe they have records that you can't find online that will tell you about your ancestors. Sometimes you can find histories of early settlements online in book format, and it may very well mention your ancestor and where they came from. Some of these books also, they give biographical information for people of note. And oftentimes, a lot of these uh, Irish early ancestors were people of note because they were often founders and settlers and new business people, and they did things. They had it was a lot of new opportunity for them, so they did a lot. They were motivated, very motivated, and they would they could make fortunes or start businesses, and they could end up being people of note. So there may very well be some sort of reference to them in some sort of historical book. So those are some general techniques for finding your Irish ancestors, especially the ones that left before 1850. It's not impossible, but it's tough. It's tough going, and there's no guarantee you're going to get that information. However, I would say this, that if you do your family tree and you look at every potential family line that may have originated in Ireland, that increases the number of family members that you have with Irish origins. And you may not be able to find them all, but you might be able to find one or two. And having some information about where part of your family came from in Ireland is certainly better than not knowing at all. So, good luck hunting your Irish ancestors, and I hope you learn something and take care.